Welcome to the Diaspora Door podcast, where stories soar and cultures collide. Join us as we journey through vibrant voices and untold tales from around the globe. Let's celebrate the heartbeat of the diaspora together.
Hey there, diaspora listeners. Welcome to the Diaspora Door. I'm Nze Obenello, your host. Some people know me as Enzi. Whatever you want to call me, as long as it's totally nice. So it's great to be here with all of you, and thank you for taking the time to join the Diaspora Door, and your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much. I want to just talk about something that happened to me maybe a couple or 3 weeks ago while I was visiting southwestern Ontario, Canada. I was in a tiny, tiny town called Dresden, Ontario. It has a population of about just under 2,500 people, like literally just under 2,500 people. And it's a cute little town. It's the best town because I found a great place to buy double butter caramel corn. They have some gourmet popcorn place there, which was really yummy. And also a really nice bakery where I got a Millionaire bar. Millionaire bars, if you don't know what they are, oh my goodness. I discovered them when I was in the UK on a coastal hike. And it's basically kind of like a cookie base maybe kind of thing. And then a cream and then chocolate on top. Almost kind of in a weird way like an Nanaimo bar, but even better. And it's called a Millionaire bar. And this bakery, that's awful. I can't remember the name of the bakery, but I'm sure I'll call it while we're talking. They just make the best. Union Block Bakery in Dresden. Yep. And our guest knows it very well because this is her hood, and that's where she's from, and she knows all about it. So I'm at this town, going back to my long story, as I always have long stories, and all of a sudden I'm seeing these flags, Jamaican flags, in the shop windows. And I'm thinking, now I've seen like 4 of them. First of all, why am I not seeing Nigerian flags? Kidding. But I'm seeing these these Jamaican flags. And I'm thinking, what's going on? So I asked one of the storekeepers, actually at the Union Bakery, and she said, we as a small town, and something our listeners need to know, these small towns, especially in southwestern Ontario, are farming communities and have huge farms. A lot of the produce that's in Ontario sold, and probably around Canada. I know even in the States, sometimes I see from Canada, I'm sure it's from southwestern farms. They have these huge farms, and they often bring in workers from various countries, in particular, Jamaica. So Dresden, good on them, as there's a Jamaican diaspora in Dresden, who knew? They, so as to show these workers who are away from their homes, they want to welcome them and make them feel comfortable. So they put the flags up. At the beginning of the farming season, I'm told there's a big cookout and a big something in the center town, music, food to welcome them. And throughout the farming season, they're having different events, which, they really make sure that these workers from Jamaica are part of and feel like Dresden is their home. And I thought, how nice is that, kind of thing, that community just comes together to welcome and host this Jamaican diaspora population. So I thought that was very cool. And I bring it up because our guest today is from southwestern Ontario. She's from a small town called Blenheim, which holds a dear spot to me because a couple of my dear friends that I went to university with and made connections with were from Blenheim. So it's neat to have our guest, Karen Sullivan, with us today, who is from Blenheim, Ontario. And Karen, and we're going to have a great conversation. Karen is an incredible soul. She is a woman who just takes charge, and you'll see, takes whatever she's given, and she's just going to roll with it and go through. Karen is an individual who is visually impaired. And what struck me when a friend of mine, another friend in Blenheim, and you'd think Blenheim is a huge metropolis, all these people I know, like I don't know, Karen, what's the population of Blenheim? Like 1,000?
Blenheim itself, maybe about 5,000
there you
in
go.
The immediate area. Yeah,
5,000 people. So I think I might know half of them. Anyways, I know all the dirt on a lot of people. I love the dirt, the Blenheim dirt. Oh, man. Anyway. So Karen is, as I was saying, visually impaired. And a friend of mine had said, I've got this friend. You've got to meet NZ. She just got her driver's license, is able to drive, or maybe didn't just get her driver's license, but was able to drive as a visually impaired person because of a sort of device, assistive device that she's using for her vision. So Karen's going to tell us all about that, and it's fascinating, you guys. You're going to go like, wow. Karen is a retired educator. She is an unapologetic math geek, an avid traveler, and a lifelong adventurer. It'll be great hearing about her travels, and I'm sure she bumped into various diaspora populations around the globe as she was traveling. As you know, we said she's born and raised in Blenheim, this small farming community. She was diagnosed in infancy with severe visual, auditory, and cognitive deficits. While most of those issues seem to rectify themselves over the course of a few years, limited vision has been the norm throughout her life. She is a graduate of Western Ontario University and the University of St. Andrews, on her way to earning an honors degree in pure mathematics. Who does that? She's a genius. That was followed by education degree from the University of Ottawa, our nation's capital. Woo-woo! And much cherished 31-year teaching career as a mathematics specialist. I couldn't even get through grade 10 and 11 algebra. In fact, my algebra textbook has my buddy Lori Cascone, all her mom's greatest recipes, from brownies, cookies. I've got it. I should have brought it for you, Karen, to show you. And that's
nice.
My kids giggle, or friends, when they see me pull out my algebra textbook. That's where all the recipes are written in between formulas. And what a joke. No wonder awesome. I got the grade I did in algebra. Anyway, she has spent her career, when she's not traveling the globe, she's been in Blenheim, and took a 2-year leave from her regular job, which allowed her to go around the globe in New Zealand. She's got other adventuring highlights, such as ice expedition to the Antarctic, which I want to totally hear about it, Karen, because I'm toying with running a marathon in the Antarctic, and it's a whole interesting. They helicopter you down, you get off the ship, get on the helicopter. Karen has summited Mount Kilimanjaro with her partner, and Michelle, and sharing trips with her niece and her nephews. She's now retired. Trust me, she does not look like a retiree in any means. And she has embarked on one adventure to another, and becoming a licensed driver in the province of Ontario, as a change in the law created the opportunity for some visually impaired individuals to become drivers through the use of bio-optic telescopes, which she's going to tell us all about. She has worked with specialists to navigate the process herself and is keen to share her experiences to raise awareness and acceptance of this exciting development. Now, before I get Karen to speak, I just want to say that approximately 1.5 million Canadians have some degree of sight loss, a number expected to increase significantly as the population ages. Over 8 million Canadians live with or at risk of vision loss from a major blinding eye disease, such as age-related macular degeneration, glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, and cataracts. There, in the United States, there's an estimate of visually impaired individuals with figures ranging from 8.7 million with difficulty seeing even with glasses to more than 21 million, including significant vision problems. A 2023 National Health Interview survey indicated 51.9 million American adults expected with vision loss, including difficulty with vision, even with correction, and about 307,000 reported not being able to see at all. My last bit of statistics is globally, approximately 1.1 billion people live with some form of vision loss. These numbers are like, wow, which includes blindness, moderate to severe visual impairment. The most recent data indicates that about 1.1 billion people, including both uncorrected refractive error and presbyopia, experience visual impairment. And the World Health Organization also reports that at least 2.2 billion people globally have a vision impairment, whether near to distance related, or at least 1 billion of these cases could have been prevented or are unaddressed. So that's my stats, Karen.
Well done.
I did the research, all the numbers, because you're a mathematician. I thought I'd make you feel welcome with all these numbers, man.
Excellent. Excellent. Gotta love that.
So, Karen,
Too funny.
so tell us, talk to us. What was childhood like, growing up kind of thing?
I never knew any different, first of all. So I think, as you talk about these people that are experiencing vision loss and how that is going to become an issue as people age, I think I'm incredibly lucky that wasn't my issue. That from the beginning, my world was what it is. So I was like 4 months old, and my parents were like, why does this kid not react to anything? They turn on the vacuum cleaner and I'd just be like, whatever. I just maintained I was chill. That was it. But no, apparently that was what was going on. But they realized at that point that there were a lot of things happening with me, and one of them was that I had developed what's called a cyclotorsional nystagmus, which is a very technical thing. But basically my eyes move all over the place. They are not still. I cannot possibly hold them still. And so at that point in time, my brain couldn't figure out what this was that was entering into it. It's not that I wasn't perceiving the world. It was that my world was just fuzzy and moving. Fortunately, over time, my brain kind of figured out how to take those inputs and make some sense out of them. It doesn't mean that I see or saw the same things everyone else did, but at least I could process my world, right? My childhood, I did not really wear glasses until I was probably about 10 years old.
Wow.
Well, my parents tried when I was about 5. I didn't really like them, and so neither did another guy family friend who lived down the street. And so one day when we were burning things in the burn barrel, as farm kids do, the glasses kind of landed in there. Not sure how, really, but they kind of did.
Oh, my goodness.
I might have been in a bit of trouble when that happened.
So, Karen, you, as a kid, when you put those glasses on, so you didn't even feel like, oh, wow, this is helping me see better, to maybe attract you to want to keep them on? You just didn't feel there.
No, well, it's also that thing with when you're a kid, right? Like, they looked funny.
Oh.
They looked funny. I just didn't like them. They were inconvenient. You're climbing around, you're doing stuff, you're sweating, they're sliding. It's not fun. So I was like, no. And I kind of figured I navigated my world pretty well. So I wasn't a big deal. And that was sort of maybe kindergarten. So I wasn't really in that school situation where I would notice maybe more. But I did my thing. Some things took me longer. So with the type of impairment that I have, it is kind of notorious that balance is difficult. Okay. So learning how to drive or how to ride a bike took a long time because I had to figure out balance. Took a long time and a lot of Band-Aids because I wiped out a lot. But, I was, again, really fortunate because my parents stuck with it and they, helped me. And for most of my life, my bike has been my mode of transportation. So, I learned how to do it, and bonus because it helps you stay fit when that's how you get around. So, worked out well. In school, like I said, I didn't have glasses really till I was like 10 that I actually wore. But my teachers were fabulous because they allowed me to figure out what I needed, and they just let me do it. So if I needed to ask someone in the class to switch seats with me because there was something on a blackboard way over there that I couldn't read, they just let me do that. It was just part of our routine. If I needed to sit on the floor because I couldn't sit on a desk and see what was going on, they didn't care. They just walked around me. I sat on the floor and looked at the board, or I might walk right up to the board and read something and then walk away. And they were like, okay, whatever you have to do, right? Which was a gift because that wasn't the norm at that time, right? We're talking the 1970s. Yeah. Everyone was in straight rows and all of that. But again, I think to a certain extent, small town life sort of helped that because my teachers knew my family, they knew my parents, they knew what was going on to a certain extent. So they just said, go for it. Do what you got to do.
So Karen, as just going back to your parents and you before the age of 10, was there talk of special ed?
When I was about, I think, 3 years old, my mom told me I had, up to the age of 2, I spent a significant amount of time, a month here, 3 weeks here, 2 weeks here, at Sick Kids Hospital in Toronto.
Yes, great hospital. Worked there for many years. It's a great.
It really was. They tried to figure out what was going on, what they could do to help me, and they kind of, when I was 2 years old, they kind of said, cognitively is great. Yeah. Hearing is now good. I say, we still don't know what's going on, but we don't know what happened here, so just take her. It's all good. So they were kind of like, it's better than it was. We don't know why, but cool, go live your life. So when I was about 3, thinking ahead to education, my parents took me to a optometry specialist. And it was an interesting meeting, apparently, because this person did these tests on me and then said to my mom that, they should consider the school for the blind because I would never survive in the regular school system. Wow. At the same time, though, the doctor said to me, I get done all my tests. Do you want a candy? I said, yes, please. He said, what color do you like? I said, green. And he handed me an orange one. And I looked at it and I looked at him and I said, that's not green, that's orange. And my mom said she kind of watched in that moment and she said, you knew what was going on. Not all 3-year-olds at that stage were going to do that to a doctor. She said, I wasn't really too worried about you in the education system at that stage.
Too funny.
She's like, clearly you were going to advocate for yourself. So,
wow, okay. Big time. And you had mentioned to me when we were speaking, and I just thought, power to you. You talked about driving tractors on the farm.
Oh yeah. Well, when you're living on a farm, when you're a farm kid, everybody contributes. That's how it works. We were out hoeing weeds out of fields. We were out, picking peppers after school, whatever had to be done. And there were times where, there would be some jobs where my dad was like, okay, you're little and you're not strong enough to do this, so you're going to drive the tractor. Okay, that's fine. When the whole license thing came up, it was really funny because our mutual friend just laughed, and she said, I remember, she said, they let you drive before they let me drive, and she's older than me. And I was like, what? And she said, well, we were kids. She said, we were maybe like 11 or 12. And she was over at my house, and my dad was out in the field, and we needed to take lunch out to my dad. Yeah. So it was way back in the field. We weren't going to walk back there. And my mom just handed us his lunch and said, take the truck and go out and take lunch to dad. So we hopped in the truck and we did. And she's like, my parents would never let me do that at that stage.
That is too fun. So shout out to the mutual friend, Olene Burke.
Exactly.
Mutual friend. So when you're on that tractor, so what were you seeing? Are things blurry? They're not close? Like what?
I guess, but part of the difficulty has always been when people ask me, what do you see? Because I don't have a frame of reference. I don't understand what someone with 20/20 vision sees. Okay. So because this has always been my reality, it's just what I see. Do I think it's blurry? Not really. But if you saw it, would you think it was blurry? Maybe.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So that is difficult. I didn't have a problem going, oh, there are tractor tires down this row, so I'm going down this row. Okay. And there are, plants all around me that I better not run over. My dad will get mad. Yeah. So, but could I, if you looked at that plant, you might see veins in the leaves, and you might see distinguished leaves and things like that, where I didn't necessarily see that. Yeah. I saw a shape. I saw a green shape that had, things coming off of it, but I wouldn't perceive the same detail that you would see.
Interesting.
Right. And by that time, that would be with corrective lenses and that sort of thing. Like I would have had glasses by then.
Wow. Interesting. So then how, you were talking about, in school, you do what you need to do, and your classmates would be there in support. How, sometimes, unfortunately, we hear with young students bullying and things like that. How did your classmates embrace you, or not, or help? How was that as you went through middle and high school?
Again, it was the norm. And again, I guess to a certain extent, bonus of a small town is that you didn't necessarily, when you got to high school, it wasn't like you were with an entire new group of people. Right. So in elementary school, I do remember one time I was probably about grade 3. And my teacher gave me this thing and said, take this down to the office. The principal needs this. So off I went and I did that. And what I found out subsequently was that the teacher had sat the class down and said, look, this is the situation. This is, she needs to ask you to move sometime. She needs to, whatever. just go with it. And, for the most part, that is what happened. Yeah, really the most challenging thing about school, especially high school, wasn't the students. It was fine. My difficulty was generally the first day of school. And I mean, I love school. I'm an academic, obviously, and that sort of thing. But the first day of school was really difficult because I, as you might guess, am not a person that easily says, I can't do this.
Yeah.
So
getting that.
yeah. So high school, at our time, we did 8 classes all year. So, the first day of school, you'd go around to 6 potentially new teachers. The next day, you'd meet 2 more. And I'd have to go to them and explain that, okay, I can't see what you're doing on the board.
Wow.
So there are some things that I just can't do. And I'd be in tears every single time that I was having this conversation. Just because that was hard for me to say, like, hey, I can't literally do this.
Yeah.
But it was also good because, I would just say to them, like, I have ways of managing. I'll tell you if I need something. But just understand that you can't look at me and go, oh, this thing that I wrote on the board, what's the answer to this? It's like, I don't know. What's that say?
Right.
So, yeah. And then once that was done, it was done and everything was fine. But that was challenging. And I never had a problem as far as people giving me a hard time. And when I was a kid and even when I was working, when I was teaching, if I needed something, I got it. And I think it also helped that they knew that I wasn't going to ask for things that I didn't need.
Yes.
Just to, it's like, yeah. So
it's good. Karen, as you were teaching, did you have students in any of your classes during your career who were visually impaired? And how did they cope and deal? And how did that compare to how you coped and dealt with it?
I did have some. And I had students with lots of different impairments, whether it was visual, whether it was auditory. And so I think to a certain extent, an advantage that I had as an educator was that, when I started the year, we would do something as simple as I planned to put together a seating plan. So I would give them a little slip of paper and I said, look, let me know if there's somewhere that you need to be in the classroom and just give me an idea why. Like, if it's, I need to sit in the front because I can see better, or, hey, I have this hearing thing and I need to sit on this side of the classroom because that ear is better. Yeah. Whatever it is, just let me know. I didn't want a student to be in the position that I had been in where I had to go and put myself in a really uncomfortable position. So I just kind of said, hey, just tell me and we'll go with that. But I would say to them quite upfront, like I did, much to the chagrin of some of my principals before they really knew me. I said, yeah, I'm going to tell them that I can't see certain things, right?
Why would principals why would the
well, they would wonder about behavior issues that might arise because they would think, oh, if they know you can't see, are they going to try and get away with things?
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Well, I would just say to my class, it's like, okay, here it is. And I had to tell them because one of the things that is difficult is that if I'm walking down the street and someone's walking toward me, heck, it can be a family member, and I'm not going to know it's them until they're kind of right there. And then they're by me. And so I really had to say to the kids, like, look, if I see you uptown and I don't say hi, I am not ignoring you. This is why. This is the problem. Yes. Feel free to yell at me, right? Like that's basically it. Feel free to yell at me. It's all good. but I said to the kids, it's like, you can choose to try and get away with stuff. That's only going to take away from what you're doing in class. So don't bother. And they generally didn't. Amusingly, when you asked about, did I have a student with visual impairment? There's one that comes to mind that was a great kid, but he also tried to get away with things and say, oh, I cannot possibly do that because I can't see. So they put him in my class, and he would be like, well, I can't possibly do that because I can't see. I go, oh, okay, just move over there and do that. Yeah. It's fine. And he looks at me.
You're and then
that was basically, and then he had come in at one point, and he had a device that he got from low vision specialists, and I was like, oh, sweet, that'll do this, and because I had been trained on that device. And he's like, oh, no, I can't use it for that. I was like, yeah, you can. Let me show you. This is so cool. And he was just like, oh,
why
man.
This class? Exactly. Yeah.
Man. So it was quite funny. It was quite funny.
That is so funny. That's so funny. So you get into, before you got into your career, you're in university and your teacher's college and this kind of thing. What accommodations had to be made, or maybe not, for you?
None really. I mean, again, I was fortunate to a certain extent in that because in high school I could not see the board, so I couldn't necessarily read what people were writing. What I learned to do very early on was to take lecture notes.
Okay.
And so I would take notes from what people were saying. If I forgot what they said, a lot of times in a high school situation, they're saying, we say what we write on the board.
Yeah.
So if I forgot what they said, I could look up at the board and I couldn't see the words, but a lot of people don't maybe realize, but especially with cursive writing, some letters are high, some letters are low. And so by shapes of words, I could remind myself if I had forgotten what it was, like the shape of the word would be a trigger for what they'd said. So I could use that to help me take notes as well. So by the time I got to university, and by the way, you were making a comment about, math people and why would anyone take math at university? Key point, I was too lazy to write history essays. My second teachable was actually history. My minor technically is history, but I was too lazy to write that many essays, so figured math was more fun.
That is too funny. And I wonder too, numbers versus letters, did that make a diff?
No, in fact, I was worse off. Like in a math class, that was harder, right? Because in something like a history class, somebody's lecturing, my first year class, people are looking at me like, how are you keeping up with what he's saying? And I'm going, bonus. Wow. But in math classes, that was a little different, but I could still go by what I was hearing. And friends, were great. If I missed something, I would just tap somebody on the shoulder and go, hey, can I borrow your sheet for a second? What did that say? When I was in university, it leads to a funny, late night study sessions in university.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So about 3:00 in the morning, we're up studying for an exam. We have this little study group and it's for a math exam. And a friend of mine says, oh, can I borrow your note on this? I need to look up something. I said, sure. And he looks at it and he's like, what is this? I was like, and so the professor, as he was doing stuff, he kept saying, Ixai. Okay. So I think he's saying XI.
Yeah.
So every time he said that, that's what's in my note is XI.
Yeah.
I was consistent. I knew what it meant. Well, no, there's a Greek letter, Xi, which I didn't realize. So,
oh boy.
So everybody else, he had written the Greek letter on the board. Everybody else has the Greek letter in their notes. The guy looks at mine and is like, what is this?
XI, that is funny. Wow.
Made sense to me, man. So.
That is so funny. And the thing is, Karen, if you think of today, easy, right? No big deal. You got the computers going online. That's not even work on the board isn't really,
Oh, but even in the classrooms, because there is. So, in fact, this happened. I still supply teach. So I go in periodically, and actually just last week, I was in a grade 9 English class, and a particular student, the teacher had given me a slideshow that she wanted me to work through, so it was up on the screen. And I'm walking around, and I see a particular student sitting with their phone like this.
Yeah.
And I went over because sometimes in grade 9, they don't know that they shouldn't be videoing in class and all this kind of thing. So I just kind of casually walked behind the student, and the student had taken a picture of the screen. And I said, so I kind of leaned over and said, is that too small to see from where you are? And the student said, yeah, so I have to take a picture of it to zoom in. I was like, okay, cool. But by the way, does your camera roll get filled up with these pictures? And she's like, yeah, it's so annoying. Wow. I said, hey, I have a pro tip for you. So there is an app, a Google magnifier app, which essentially does the same thing as taking your camera and zooming in, but it doesn't save to your camera roll. So you can zoom in, you can screen capture, and you can look at it, but when you're done with it, it's gone. Wow. So the girl was like, really? Wow. So I showed her on my phone. Instantly, she's downloading it, and she's like, this is great, right? So there's still uses for stuff like that.
And she would not have known that, well, maybe eventually, but certainly bumping into you, that's, no-brainer, like kind of thing. She would have been so appreciative, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, here's a little thing. So I would have students, even in my classes, when cell phones in classrooms are a big issue, for sure. It's very difficult to manage, but I always had mine on me. And part of the reason was, if I was talking to a student, I would often have students put work on the board and things like that, because I wanted to see what they were doing. I wanted them to share their ideas. But if I was, in the middle of the classroom and I'm talking to a student and they say, over there on Joe's solution, and it's like, well, I don't have a clue what we're looking at right now. So I would pull out my phone, zoom in with it, and go, okay. And just trying to model, like, yes, here's a device that we really don't want to be using all the time in class and don't want to be on it all the time. Yeah. But here's an application of it that can be helpful, right? So modeling stuff like that.
Exactly. So Karen, talk about your traveling then overseas. How did that work? Again, I asked the same question, because I gather you went alone when you traveled. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What challenges did you come up to, and what successes? How did you solve some of them?
Well, my dad would have loved it when I was a university student and, early working, if I had adult luggage. In his view, I did not use adult luggage, because I would, from the time I was in university, would use a travel pack. Why?
Like
because I walk.
Backpack?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Why? Because I walk a whole lot further in an airport than you probably do.
Wow.
Because if I want to see what's on a screen, and prior to cell phone days, like we're talking prior to email days, right? This is, 1980s.
Yeah.
I need to see what's on the screen in the airport. I'm walking right up to that screen and stretching up and hoping that I can figure out what I need. And if not, I'm asking somebody, but I need to read a sign over there. I'm walking over there.
Right.
So, I went through a lot of shoes. And
Too funny. But not to the point that you would need a cane.
No. Like to navigate, because things, kind of like I said earlier, it may not be that it's in focus in the way that you would think it's in focus.
Yeah.
But I know it's there. But, so I'm not, running into things. Even without my glasses, I know things are there. They're just not the same. I don't see them in the same way that you would see them.
Exactly.
So it's just different. But like navigating when traveling. I mean, like I said, we're talking back in the 1980s. So it was, you carry around your big old travel book and
back in the day. Oh my
God. Right.
I remember.
So
I remember. So then, bring us to today, the driving. So you were not legally driving until, like, you did the tractor thing. I gather you probably didn't get on the road. Like, walk us through how you even...
There was no way. So I when I was 14 years old, I went to at the University of Waterloo. There's the School of Optometry in Ontario, and they have a low vision clinic. And so when I was 14, we got a referral to go to the low vision clinic to see what they could do. And I went through a bunch of testing, and I was basically told at that point, you will never be able to drive because you will never be able to meet the vision requirements as they stand. So without any corrective stuff, my vision at that point was about 2,200 on a good day, which means that what someone with normal vision could see at 200 meters, I would need to be at 20 meters to see.
Wow.
Or what they could see at 2 meters away. If you think about writing on a chalkboard, if they could read it at 2 meters away, I probably needed to be at 20 centimeters.
Wow.
To be able to do that. So they said that there's no way. Now my glasses could correct that to about 2,100 in my one eye. But still, like 2050 is the cutoff for you're going to drive. And so there was no way. So that was a difficult day as a teenager, right? Being told that you will never be able to do this. And I was a little grumpy for a few days.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, it is what it is, right? I always knew that things were different for me. So, okay, that's what it is. And I'm going to get a really nice bike because I can't buy a car. So fair enough, right? My brothers just shook their head when I bought a good bike. They were kind of like, you could buy a car for that, and it's like, oh, well, there you go. I said, yeah, but I don't have to work as hard when I pedal as you do, so it's fine.
Too funny.
So,
Wow.
Yeah. So I knew then that wasn't a thing. But having grown up on a farm, did I know how to drive things? Of course I did. I drove tractors, I drove trucks, I drove mini bikes, 3-wheelers, 4-wheelers, like everything. So the concepts I certainly had.
Yes.
So, fast forward quite a lot. And in pre-COVID, probably about 2018, I had gone to the low vision clinic. I kind of went there on a regular basis for monitoring of certain things. And, I had a great contact there who would solve my random problems. Like, when she did really, really good classes for me one year, and then I went out to Newfoundland and I was hiking in Rosemore National Park, and I realized that the glasses were great, except that because I have bifocals, and I've had bifocals my life. But she adjusted them, because normally if you have bifocals, they're done on kind of an automatic relationship to your glasses. But that hadn't worked for me. So she did them completely differently, which is great for work. They were fabulous. Trying to go down a mountain trail that's rocky, when you look down and the rocks are fuzzy, is not good.
Yeah.
For reference, don't try that. It's not good. Wow. So when I went back the next year, she's like, how are the glasses? I said, great, but they suck when I'm hiking. And she's like, oh, we need a new solution. So sure enough, by the end of that, we got a new solution, and she's got different glasses for me that'll work better for outdoor pursuits, and it's great. So I would go there regularly. So in like 2018, my person who was the head of the clinic had retired. And so I had a new person. And part of what she showed me was this device that basically what she showed me is a thing that clicked onto your glasses. And it basically was a 2x magnifier. And I was like, okay, so, I could use that and look, and maybe the poster across the room, I could read it, right? But it wasn't focused. I was like, is there any way to focus this? And she says, no. And I was like, well, that's not all that useful then. Okay, fine. Yeah. So then I kind of like, that seems odd to me. If you're going to have that technology, like, you can't tell me you can't focus this. So I just one day I'm thinking about that, and I start randomly looking things up, and I come across a company in the US called Occutech that makes these things. And they have lots of cool stuff. They have ones that you can focus. They have ones that will autofocus. I'm like, well, this is fun. But, okay, do I really need this? Not really. Fine. So I just kind of filed away the information. So then about 2022, I'm like, as part of my work, it was probably 2021, as part of my work, I coached the high school curling team, because I curl as well. Yeah. And I thought, one of those things would be pretty cool, because I have things that I carry with me for magnifying, like a scope that I can use or whatever. But I thought, it would be kind of cool if this was actually just attached to my glasses, and then I wouldn't have to, I'd be hands-free, right? That'd be awesome. So I looked again, and I can't find a Canadian supplier for these things. So I was like, So I went to my optometrist, my local optometrist, who also has been a friend since childhood. Her mom was one of my teachers, right? And I said, do you know about these things? Do you know where I can find these? And she said, I don't, but she is on a Facebook group of optometrists, so she throws it out there, and she said, let me see what I can find out. So when I went back for my regular checkup with her, she says, I said, any luck? She says, yeah, you can get those here. But she says, by the way, do you know that you can potentially use those to help you drive?
Wow. Like, ding, ding,
what?
ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
What did you just say? Wow. So that kind of was okay, this is interesting. And, she said, I'm not sure that you'll meet the criteria, but this happens. I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to look into this because I'm a researcher. So I get looking, and there are basically three places in the province at that time, 3 specialists that were dealing with this. And so I come across one that, has lots of pluses as far as I was concerned. Like, her office is on a subway line. So if I need to go by myself, I can do that because I can take the train to Toronto. I can hop on the subway line. She's in Etobicoke. not that I'm overly independent or anything, but
Yeah.
I was like, that's important to me that I know I can do it by myself if I have to. She is also a cyclist. Like, okay, she'll understand me. She's from a place that you'll be familiar with called Amherstburg, which is about an hour away. She worked in Chatham, which is the local city, for a while. I was like, okay, I feel like this person's going to get me, right? Yeah. So I'll choose her. I'll go see her. Yeah. So she was working with the Ministry of Transportation at the time in getting this whole program going. So I went to meet with her and went through a full battery of tests and probably vision tests that most people don't even know exist, for color perception, for contrast perception, a whole bunch of just different things. And, you know, she's going, check. Yep, you exceed the criteria on everything. You want to give this a shot? It's like, of course I do. So, yeah.
And that was what year? That was 22, 23?
That would have been September. My appointment with her was September 2023.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, it was probably, September. No, it was right after I retired. So it was September 2022 when I first met. I'm losing track. It was a while ago. But yeah, it might have been 2023. Yeah. But anyway, first appointment with her, it was like September. At that point, she's like, great, we can order your device. And then there was a whole bunch of steps to go through. I had to, so just so you know, because I don't think you've ever seen one of these.
Yeah.
This is the device.
Wow.
This is what it is. So it's actually a pair of glasses that she basically did an optimal distance prescription for. So these glasses, if I wear them and try to stand and have a conversation with somebody at a normal distance, it drive me nuts because they'd be blurry at a normal conversation distance, because these are set to be the best possible far distance that I can get,
right,
which is cool. And then the device is really just a little box that is drilled through the one lens, so it's permanently attached.
Yeah.
And all it really is, frankly, is a magnifier. It's a lightweight 4x magnification. And it doesn't do anything fancy. I can focus it. It was doable, which is kind of cool because I can focus it
manually, or
yes, they do have autofocus ones, but for the driving program, they don't allow those, and it makes sense if you think of potential for failure. Right? If an autofocus doesn't work the way it's supposed to, if there's a lag, that would be an issue. So these, though, what one thing that is cool about them is that I can focus them in the distance so that I have sort of 4x the distance viewing, but I can also bring it in and focus it to about a minimum distance of about 7 inches. So if I were trying to read something really, really small, like think a prescription bottle, maybe medication bottle, like little tiny print.
Yes.
I mean, I could conceivably do it with that. I mean, I probably personally wouldn't, because I would grab my phone, I'd grab my magnifier, zoom it in, and be done with it. Yeah. But I could. Or, you know, another one for me that's kind of significant to talk about, things that I was doing when I was traveling. So I like to visit museums and art galleries. Yeah. And I always was a little bit self-conscious, and I felt a little bit rude because I'd want to read the information pieces about the works. And I would go and stand right in front of the thing so that I could read it. And I was very conscious of the fact that other people didn't need to stand there and were probably trying to read over my shoulder and couldn't. This would allow me to stand back and read that, right? so that's kind of cool to me. Because so like that's really all it is it's a magnifier. So if you think of when you drive, you are consistently checking your mirrors, right?
Yes.
This is just another thing to check, essentially. Really good for, like, let's say that I'm coming up to an intersection and I know there's a set of lights. I can tell that there's a set of lights. I can use that so that I know further back what the lights are doing. Right? So I have more warning. Or if, so when I was riding a bike, I would know that there was a car oncoming. I couldn't tell a whole lot about it, but I would know there was a car oncoming. Yeah. But with this, not only do I know there's an oncoming car, I know there's one behind that and one behind that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Which I wouldn't know without it. Okay, so it does things like that. Scanning, let's say you're at a large intersection and you're looking to make sure there are no pedestrians coming, that are going to maybe try to make that last second dash across. It allows me to be more clear about looking at the far intersection, like the far crosswalks and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So you can use it for things like that. So, yeah, it's... wow. But but this has also been a lot of things that just kind of come together because... You know how when you age, things slow down? Your metabolism slows down? No.
You're talking about, Karen.
No.
Yeah. It's slow.
Well,
it's slowing, my friend. Yep. Body parts
guess
start
what?
dropping.
There can be a perk to that because my specialist has a suspicion, and she doesn't know because she hasn't worked with me over the long term. Mm-hmm. And I don't know for sure because if it's been happening slowly. But because things slow down, my eye movement will also slow down. And if my eye movement is slowing down, it means that actually the blurriness is perhaps improving. And she thinks that because she actually got my prescription to a 20/60 level, which I've never, ever in my life hit a 20/60 level. She said, you are actually really close to technically meeting the regular 20/50 requirement.
Get out.
Yeah. And she's like, that would be the reason, is that as all of your other systems slow down as you age, this might too. This is too. So it might actually weirdly, when everyone else is getting worse,
you're getting better. Wow.
Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
Cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
So as you drive, what does that mean? Like, are you on the 401? You're on the Valley Parkway? Like, what are you?
So when I go places, I have been on the 401. I had to because I did driver's ed.
For our listeners, it's a major highway thoroughfare.
It is, kind of like an interstate, right? It's
exactly.
a major. So as part of doing driver training, it's a requirement that your driving instructor takes you on there. So I did that. And I have gone a little bit with a friend because in the area where I live, the 401 is not nearly as busy as it would be in other areas. And there are certain times of day where it's not particularly busy. So I have done it. But when I plan routes, if I'm going somewhere, going somewhere just local and it's an area I'm very familiar with, that's not a problem. If I'm going further afield, or I know that it's going to be a slightly longer drive, I will plan out my route so that I avoid that kind of thing. I plan for, lesser used roadways, that sort of thing. I plan for interesting stops so that I give my eyes a break, about every 45 minutes. I've been having fun with ChatGPT going, hey, I want to go from here to here, and I want an interesting coffee stop, and I want an interesting hike, and I want them to be pretty equally spaced. And ChatGPT will come back and go, here's a suggestion. Sometimes the suggestions don't exist. You do have to check your ChatGPT stuff. Yeah. But, that kind of thing. So, this is a huge privilege, right? And I take great care in planning what I'm doing, and and I don't need to rush. I'm retired.
You are so funny. So GPS, and then also like things like, I know in my car I have the screen, and I can actually, I forgot what they call it, but I can see, it's like an animation kind of thing, the car.
Yes.
So if I'm veering to the left, I can see the red. It's, Is that helpful to you, or?
Yes, and that is something, again, as I said, I am in awe still of being able to do this. Yeah. And I am very concerned about being as prepared as possible and as careful as possible. So I got a vehicle, and I made sure as part of that it had all of those safety systems on there. Not that you rely on them, but that they are a good backup. So when I, unless I'm going somewhere very familiar, I run my Android Auto. I have Google Maps there. The maps are downloaded, so I don't have to worry about connections. And I am using those turn-by-turn directions. Yeah. On my screen, when it says you're going to turn right in 600 meters, on my screen, I can see, there's a roadway, and then my turn is the next one. So I'm using that sort of thing. But it's also got the, if you're veering to the left a little bit or something, it'll pull you back into the lane, it'll nudge you back, or an alarm will go, that sort of thing. It's, to me, making sure all of those elements are in place is just being responsible. Yeah. Right? That's because this is a big deal, and it's a big deal for me personally. But it's also a big deal for our society to be understanding that this is a new thing. And so you have a responsibility to do it as well as you possibly can, right? So all the tricks. Get all the tricks.
Wow. So what is, now this is the nitty gritty, what is the cost of this device, and can everyone and their brother and sister who's visually impaired afford to pay for this?
It will take time. So the device itself, straight up raw costs, is about $3,000. Wow. Ontario has a program called the Assistive Devices Program, which will cover part of that. It is an excellent program because it does help at least ensure that things that you really need, you can get. And so even my glasses are weird enough, and that was actually the term they used. They're weird enough that they get covered under as an assistive device because they're nowhere near off the shelf. Right? So that does help defray the cost. Right now for this program, because there are a limited number of specialists doing this, there was certainly costs incurred for me to travel to Etobicoke for appointments and all that kind of stuff, and I still have to do that. Although my specialist, Dr. Anna Jurisic, is really good in that she's actually trying to train people around the province to do what she does, so that accessibility will become easier. But again, things like that will take time, fair enough. So they're trying to ease that burden a little bit. Is there, I will have an ongoing cost to this in that I do have to have my vision certified every year. So I have to go to my specialist and run the battery of tests and submit those to the Ministry of Transportation. And you have to do specialized driver training. So even if you've driven before, so, and I believe it's still currently the case that there's only one place in the province of Ontario that can do this training, and it's in Barrie, which is just north of Toronto.
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and again, they are more than ready to train the trainer. They are good to go as far as that's concerned. It's just the process of kind of getting that out there. But kind of an interesting element to that is that you spoke earlier of age-related vision loss. And that's actually what they thought this would apply to. So they assumed when this program started that their primary clientele would be older people who had driven before and had had vision loss, be it through macular degeneration or whatever, and who were going to use this to get their license back. And in that case, the way that the rules are written is that those people would go to this company called Skill Builders, and they would have to do as many lessons as necessary to prove that they're fine with the driving. And at that point, their license would be reinstated. So that, there was one guy who my specialist told me about who actually drove race cars. He needed one lesson and they were like, you are good to go, right? But it just depends.
Yeah.
So then in comes me and people like me who are novice drivers who were never able to get their license. Yeah. And they said, so for example, the albino community, there are a number of people with albinism who,
which is the skin pigmentation.
It is, but it also affects your vision.
Yeah.
So there are, they're getting 16 and 17-year-olds with albinism who are doing this. So they are getting novice drivers. So they then decided that kind of the rule was that if you're a novice driver, you have to do a minimum of 10 lessons. And part of that was because the first, say, 5 or 6 are actually intended to be just care and control of a vehicle, because if you're a novice driver, presumably you don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then it's how do you use your device as well. So I had to do 10 regardless.
Yes.
They kind of said I did 7. They're kind of like, you're good to go because you knew how to drive a vehicle, but you're a novice driver, so you have to do 10. So there's a cost there as well. So it is not an inexpensive undertaking, and it never will be really inexpensive, but it will get better.
Right.
And, like anything, the more that it becomes common, the better that will become. So I just, I wear my device. I would wear it to the curling rink when I was coaching, and people would, oh, what is that? And start talking about it. And high school students would come up to me, oh, that looks cool. What is that?
Yeah.
Show them. And and so the more that the word gets out, the more that people see that this exists, then hopefully people who need it will at least explore it. And then maybe more optometrists say, oh yeah, we want to be prepared to help people with this. Then it becomes more local. Then driver training places say, oh, there's demand for this. So, so as with anything, I think over time, think about how much your laptops cost when they came out, right?
Exactly, my friend. And have you met, Karen, other people who are using the device?
I have not. Well, no, I shouldn't say I have. In that, when I was doing my training in Barrie, I would run into other people who were doing their lessons and that sort of thing. And the general consensus is just, wow, right? Wow. Never thought you'd be able to do this, and it's here. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of very appreciative people right now.
Incredible. And when you talk about optometrists, even to the level of optometry school, that I'm just wondering, do you know, is it even touched upon in their studies? Or is
I know that. Well, I do know that at Waterloo, they are into this now too. So
interesting.
The nice thing about the School of Optometry at Waterloo is that they have the clinics alongside the school. So the low vision clinic is part of the School of Optometry. So the students have placements in those areas.
Right.
So I don't know formally that it's part of classes, but their practical on the job experience will have that ingrained in it, I'm sure.
Wow.
Because they are working in those clinics.
Wow, Karen, wow. No, it's an incredible story. I mean, again, when Nolene told me about you, I was just thinking like, wow, like how does that happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's crazy.
Totally, right? And I can only imagine for you, like you said, you never ever thought, or you were told you're never ever going to arrive. And then here you are, you know, how many years later, and you're driving. That's like incredible. It's incredible. Now, and I'm just looking at our time, and I'm going to wrap this up. I could have you on here for forever. What would you leave our listeners with what has the impact been on the fact that you now, you know, can drive? It sounds like, again, you're the kind of chick who's just like, hey, you can't tell me I can't do something. I've been living life. I've been traveling. I've been teaching. I know more than Einstein. I mean, you know, you're a stellar individual. So what impact, what would you have to share to others, and especially people who are visually impaired, and maybe even people who aren't, to understand?
Honestly, probably the biggest thing that strikes me, and it's anybody with any challenges, never say never, right? And keep to parents of kids with challenges, to teenagers with challenges. Do everything you can do.
Okay.
Don't, my parents never said to me, you cannot do this.
Yep.
Except playing hockey. They figured a little black projectile flying at my head might be bad. But I mean, beyond that, they never said, you can't do this. If I tried something and it was clear that I needed a support, then they helped me figure out supports.
Yeah.
They didn't say you can't do it. And they didn't say, oh, here, we know how to fix this for you.
Yes. Yep.
They said, try it. And if you learn that you really can't do it, then lesson learned, that's good. I should never be a catcher in a baseball game. I learned that by practical experience. Right. Yeah. Caught a ball with my eye, literally. It was a whole thing. Our teacher thought that it would be a good idea to show that you could throw a ball around the bases faster than someone could run. And then she also thought it would be a good idea if I was standing at home plate that I was going to catch the ball on the last throw. And I wasn't thinking that was a bad idea. Then I realized that was a bad idea.
Oh man.
Oh yeah. Oh, it was good. It was a moment, but But then again, you live and learn, right?
Yes.
So, but I think it's just a matter of part of why I can do what I do right now, part of why I'm able to take advantage of this is that, my parents never said, oh my gosh, you can't see the way we do, you shouldn't ride a bike.
I was going to say, I think your parents and family, and also, like you pointed, that small town, though it could be small town, it could have been the negative. But, Blenheim is the best place, the sweetest place in the world, and people are benevolent and wonderful. But I think that whole package, your parents not standing for, you're telling us she can't do what? No. And also who you are as an individual, and then it's all about the supports, right? It's all about
it is. And making sure you do what you can. Like if you put limits on yourself and say, I can't do that because people tell me I can't do that, then you're not finding out what your limits truly are. And if you limit yourself, that'll accumulate over time. Right? I rode a bike. Because I rode a bike, I had road awareness. I understood traffic patterns. I was used to what my specialist at the low vision clinic had to explain to students. I have very, very good peripheral vision. And the students, the optometry students, could not figure out, given all of my other stuff, they're like, how is this happening? And, my specialist basically said, because she rides a bike, she uses this all the time. So if I hadn't done those things, if I hadn't ridden a bike all the time, if I hadn't done all this, would I have been in the position to take advantage of this opportunity? Right? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
So everybody do what you can do, and don't assume you can't. And if you need help, figure it out.
Yes. That's very cool. That's very cool. Karen, very, very cool. Karen, leave us with this is something that we're just starting on the Diaspora Door. One book that you would recommend as a recommended reading, and I'm going to write it down, the title and the author, because we're going to add it to our website so people can get a list of books that people can read on whatever topic.
On whatever topic. Oh my gosh. Well, there's just way too many.
Yeah.
Actually,
I'll let you have two.
No. I'll stick to one, but I think honestly one of the most powerful books that I ever read was Nelson Mandela's Long Walk to Freedom.
Okay. And why, my friend?
Just a overall sense. I can't really pinpoint what it was, but it was just one of those things that you read and everything just sticks with you. Yeah, it just a powerful book and a powerful man. And
very much so. Thank you. Yeah, I would agree with that. Pick. Well, Karen, this has been a bonus. Thank you so much for allowing Nolene to hopefully not kicking, screaming the Diaspora Door. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. Your journey is incredible. And I'm just going to keep tuned in to hear more. We'll have to have you back kind of thing, because you're certainly an inspiration for others, and especially youth, like as you were talking about your students. Kind of thing. And kudos to you after retirement, wanting to go back and teach students. Nothing against you students, but you can be high maintenance. I was one of them. I already talked.
They're fun.
Yeah, right. I already talked about my algebra textbook that we used as a recipe book instead of.
I kind of want to see this now. I want to, I'm kind of intrigued by this, honestly.
I will send you. So I was just saying, listeners, math was not my forte, and it's probably because all through algebra, me and Lori Cascone, she'd be giving me her mom's best recipes for brownies, cookies, and loaves. Until this day, I make the best banana bread and chocolate chip cookies and homemade brownies. And they're
There
all
you go.
between the formulas in the algebra. Craziness.
That is awesome.
Yeah, craziness.
Well, this has been so much fun, and thank you for the opportunity. I've really, really enjoyed this.
No, thank you. Thank you for joining us.
The Diaspora Door podcast is brought to you by Nze Obinalo, Abiaksem Victor, Chinenye Alozie, and Anthony Daniel, and produced by Soundproof Audios. Distributed on Spotify and our website at www.diasporadoor.com. Executively produced by Nze Obinalo. Music mixing and mastering by Anthony Daniel. Signing out. See you next time.